at the hour of temptation and revelation.
About to get that one now. Yep, 3 and 10.
You have it?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah, doing. Okay. Some music real quick while we get that.
I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, Lord God, my path, show me the way to Zion. I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I must stand. For a new heaven, a new earth, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please. Please don't let me fall. Give me strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I feel the Spirit calling me, drawing me back home. Been suffering with my family. I know it won't be long. One day you're gonna look for me, and I'll be gone home. Yeah, Israel is calling us back home to Zion. I'm on my knees. I lay down my life. I'm begging, please. Please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Let my feet guide my path. Show me the way
Going to Zion.
to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me
Fall, give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path.
show me
The way.
to Zion.
To Zion, to Zion. to Zion. Shalom, brothers and sisters. How are you doing this beautiful Sabbath? Hope all is well. Make sure you hit that like button. You don't want to miss this particular broadcast. You don't want to miss this. Hit the like button as you come in. This way it'll drive the traffic to let everyone know the Gathering of Christ Church is airing. We're airing now. Yeah, this will go on. It'll link right in.
Yep.
It links right in. I
Yes,
just
sir.
seen it for 1 second.
Yep.
It's airy. It's airy. Right? All right, let's jump right in. Okay, brothers and sisters, I'm Elder Rawchaa, the Gathering of Christ Church, here live with Elder Lawya this Shabbat. It's not going to be a long lesson, but a very, I would say, timely, well-needed lesson for all of us in this walk. Okay, in this walk with the Most High. Okay, make sure you hit the like button as you come on in, and we will begin. Make sure you have your Bibles and your Apocrypha ready. A real important lesson for today. We want to go into, segue in from the radio show into more health scenarios and all those things, but we'll keep that for another time. The Most High have given us information or some insight, okay, with this particular lesson to help our brothers and sisters out there, all of us, with this daily walk with the Most High God, okay? So let's begin. Elder Lawya, if you don't mind, let's begin with the Hebrew credo.
Yes, sir. Shema Yasha'Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
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 Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is the Gathering of Christ Church, and our lesson today is titled, The Wisdom to Stay on the Path. And I'm going to add this, with God, with the Most High, with the God we serve. The wisdom to stay on the path, folks. And the reason I'm going into this, okay, is because the majority of regrets we have in life comes from us violating or ignoring our conscience. Okay, a lot of us knew what's right. The Most High gave us what was right in our minds to do. And regret comes from knowing we made the wrong choices through life. Okay, and that is before we knew anything about the Bible or whatever. There was always something working with the elect, a spirit. Like that angel on your right shoulder and the other one on the left shoulder. There was that angel or that spirit saying, no, you may not come back from this, but that temptation for that day had to happen. And I'm saying this because, and I'm going through this because all of us have our daily struggles. Okay? But sometimes we build ourselves a ditch so deep that we feel that, you know, after all the mistakes I made and the bad choices, there is no hope, right? There's no hope. And now I have nobody to blame, no one to blame but myself. And that leads to even more what? You got it. Frustration, depression. So this lesson today is going to be not only for those of all of us who have made mistakes, but for the younger generation, the brothers and sisters out there who have access to all these choices that might lead downward, folks. And the whole thing is, it's about having the wisdom to navigate through serious situations where it's you and the Most High, no one else, and that choice. That choice usually happens alone. We're thinking alone before we go out and execute or do this or that. It's our alone time that leads us to bad choices. Also, when we mention things or in the scriptures, when brothers and sisters go into the scriptures and they see the word wisdom, they don't know how to apply that because that can mean many things in our society. Okay? Right? You look at wisdom as someone who's well educated. Okay? And think, well, I will never be that wise. Well, no, wisdom doesn't work like that. Wisdom works on every level. It's not anything that one cannot obtain. So what we're going to do here is use the word sometimes in this common sense. Okay. We've lost the knack to use common sense. And usually common sense comes in whether you know the truth, whether you read the Bible or not. You know that this decision you are about to make might be a life-changing mistake that would take you years to recover from. We just hope it works out. Right? And this is when we inject God ourselves and say, well, if God is with me, I believe that this desire is on me because God wouldn't let me make a choice. So I wouldn't feel this intense want if God wasn't involved in this. This is what we use to actually muddy the waters and gray the areas before or while making bad choices. We excuse our choices by claiming God has something to do with it. So we need a common sense understanding with the Bible to know when it's the Most High in our choices or our own desires. Okay? And this lesson, the wisdom to stay on the path, is for all of us. Why? Because the book of Revelation breaks down the hour of temptation. When you break down that hour, it's not speaking of a 60-minute hour or an 80-minute hour. It's speaking of what? The last cycle, the last generation before the coming of Christ. In that period, knowledge will increase and temptation will be easily accessible. Easy accessible. And you can't tell me we're not in that hour living in the advent of the internet. So we're going to go into this today. The wisdom of how to stay on the path. Let's get that hour of temptation out of Revelation real quick. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 3, verse number 10.
Revelation in your Bible, it's the last book as you all know. 3 and 10, read it.
In fact, I'll start in verse 9.
Come on.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
He would make them of the synagogue of Satan, who say they are Jews and are not, but do what?
But do lie.
But do lie.
Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet.
I will make the same people one day who are claiming to be Jews and are not. He will make them come and do what?
Worship before thy feet.
Worship before the elect's feet. That's Christ speaking here. Read.
And to know that I have loved thee.
And we'll know that our God loved us the whole time. Not just when we found the truth or were baptized. From the womb. He knew us. He knew us from birth. Why? Christ made us in the beginning. That first begotten of the Father created all we see today. And guess what? There was a relationship with him up there. But we were born in sin, born in temptation, and lost our way due to the sins of our father and mother, Adam and Eve, where choices comes in now. Temptation comes in now. So we were born, believe it or not, folks, with a belief system. Okay? Within our spiritual DNA. We were born with that. Okay? A connection with the heavens. That's where we're from. So it's upon the fallen ones and Satan and the demonic forces to disconnect us from our original origin. We were always spiritual beings. We were always with the Most High as his children. See? But he's going to make those of the synagogue of Satan to come down one day to worship at your feet. And to know what?
That I have loved thee.
And to know that the Most High never forgotten us. And going into this lesson, the wisdom to stay on the path. We must constantly remind ourselves, each individual, that the Most High never forgot us. You were never forgotten. You must believe that and own that. Read.
Verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience.
Because we have kept the word of the Most High's patience.
I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation.
He will keep thee from what?
From the hour of temptation.
The hour of temptation. If we stay patient and persevere and abstain from sin, the Most High will give us what? Refuge from this hour. We're living in this hour of temptation where sin is readily available. You can get it 24 hours a day, anytime you want, by the click of a button. Any desire you would like fulfilled can happen, and you know it can happen. In this hour of temptation. An example, right now, you can be alone, bored, because of some of your choices, some of our choices. We're hurt from a scenario that we knew better because the Most High was in our conscience telling us not to do that. But now we're hurt because of it. And then through that, of course, one goes through the I don't care phase. I don't care phase. And through that, that's one of the most dangerous phases in this course, on this path. Because in that dark space, there's nothing for us to do but to go to Facebook or go to Instagram or go someplace and find someone who's actually dealing with in the same dark place with you. Y'all in the same space right now. Okay? To go there and try to find somebody. Instead of using that time to connect as a spiritual fasting period to get back on path, Satan will have that in the hour of temptation. Usually when you get there alone, that's the Most High saying, choose me. You don't have to go to Facebook. You don't have to go to Instagram. You don't have to find out what that girl doing or what that man's husband is, what that man's wife is doing, or vice versa. Someone saying I'm alone and this, that, and the other. I need somebody. Somebody in your likes. Somebody start chatting you up in your likes and all that. And you like, man, someone out there do care for me. Maybe this is God. Maybe this is the Most High sending this person knowing what I'm going through right now. See? But 9 times out of 10, it's not the Most High. You're in the hour of temptation. The Most High brought us down, put us in this dark place to do what? To have us connect. But Satan is like, no, I'm going to put connections in everyone's hands so that when they're in that space, they choose me. Because the Most High he's in that hour in which he's communicating with his people. So I need an interference when a person is in that dark place of temptation. So we're going to navigate through the Bible today to say, okay, I need the wisdom, the common sense to stay on the path and know, and to know when I'm all the way over the line to the degree in which I may never make it back. Okay? Now, in order for us to stay on that path, right, we must understand what the path is. Right? If one is running a race, okay, there's a certain level of inherent, what you would call unnatural strength that'll kick in, knowing that there's a finish line. Right? If you didn't know there was a finish line, right, you wouldn't run the race. It's futile. But something kicks in when you're running a marathon, right? And you're running and running and running, and then you're looking at you're looking at the space that you've already chewed up by running, and you're saying, okay, let me kick in. I only have a mile left. Because why? There's a finish line. Brothers and sisters, every one of us was born in a race from our birth. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're an Israelite, whether or not you're a Gentile, whether or not you're in other nations. Everyone that's born in this earth is born with a finish line. Life, death. There's a finish line. So it's what we do within that race in itself gets us to our final destination. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today. Because while running the race, things happen. Because we didn't drink enough water or nourish ourselves, we're running the race, and then we begin to cramp up. Right? Because we didn't prepare for the race. And then we have to take a stop real quick, re-up, get our electrolytes and all that in a tent or someplace because we didn't prepare right, just to get back on and hope that someone else fell back so that we can catch up, right? Well, that hiccups happen in life that way. We're born, here's the kingdom of heaven. And through that race, hiccups come in, right? We fall to this and we fall to that. But you're still in the race. See? So we're going to use some real-time wisdom to understand. First thing you must understand is the God who have placed us on the path. See? You must understand that God who have placed you on the path. Because he's the one who gives you the water, the nourishment. He gives you what's needed to make it to the finish line. See? Right? Elder Lawya, what you have there?
I don't know if you already have these in mentioning the race.
No, bring it out.
Yes, sir. 1 Corinthians, I have two. 1 Corinthians 9 and 24 through 27. It says, Know ye not that ye which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain, and every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things.
You're temperate in all things. Now check out what it says, how you're temperate in all things in this race. Now I don't want to bring that out, folks, because you know what's wrong, and you can tell when someone or anyone hasn't matured to stay on this path to the end, when they're easily triggered. You're not temperate. When anything, the smallest thing, boom, you blow up. There's an attitude or you get mad. That's a child. That's immaturity. That's spiritual immaturity. If you're temperate in all things, it doesn't matter how bad or a scenario is. You're the person examining it with the eyes and wisdom of a learned man or woman. You're temperate. You're not triggered. And see, and that's what's wrong. And we're going to talk about that. Broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. The majority of our people out there will fall because they're easily triggered. Like when you hear someone getting shot, a cop do this and cop do that, and then everyone is out on the street marching, saying we shall overcome and all that, because they're testing your maturity. They know that they can easily lead you into your own demise with one of these triggered media things. If you're easily triggered when you hear Donald Trump, oh, he's a racist, automatically you're dealing with an immature person.
Right.
Oh, he or she called me a nigger. Okay. I'm not triggered with that. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Now put your hands on me. Okay. See that? We can't be easily triggered, folks. You got to be temperate. And I'm saying this. The other day I was out, and I'm going to use an example. The other day I was out, and I went into, there's a vegan place right down there at 20th and Hamilton. Right? Where, you know, it's a vegan place right there in Center City. So I go there to get me a vegan veggie noodle. It's an Oriental place. In there is a guy who's a quote unquote, you can tell that he want to bolster himself as someone who knows something, speaking to a bunch of people and, you know, and ask me a question, even though I understand he was really trying to bait me into this conversation. Right? Because he's like this, you know, right-wing white guy hunt. You can tell he's one of these guys. And he says, yeah, so, hey, what do you think about Trump? And I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, I just went and picked up the mail. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take some noodles and I need that sauce or whatever the case is. He said, what you think about Trump? I'm like, hey, Trump is doing exactly what he's supposed to do. That's what I said to him. Huh? I'm like, listen, I'd rather, you know, he's not lying to people. He's exactly what everyone thought he would be. He says, well, I'm like, well, and then I was speaking politics with him, condescending with him. I'm like, well, not that I'm into politics at all, but Barack Obama told me everything I wanted to hear and did nothing. So at least I know what this guy is about. He's not lying. And then he says, don't you know that Donald Trump called this person an N-word? And I started laughing. And you should have seen the look on his face, because automatically this guy believed that I was supposed to be triggered. With his observation of how we react to everything.
Right.
See, but if I'm triggered, who has control? Who has the upper ground? he do. See? I don't care about who you voted for and what side you're on. I serve the living God who made Barack Obama and Donald Trump and this simple guy trying to trigger black people downtown. See that? Now, there's people I know who could have easily been triggered by this guy, and that could have led to God knows what. Easily. Because he knew all the buttons to push. Why? Because usually he's dealing with those who are not spiritually mature. And I'm talking, and the Most High have to raise all of us to be what? Read that again.
And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things.
Is temperate in all things. You're not easily triggered. Not to say that what someone is doing isn't affecting you. But you're dealing with those offenses maturely. You're thinking of solutions instead of having this person in control of you being out of control. Never lose control. See? Are you following me here? Come on.
Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so I fight, not as one that beateth the air.
Listen, someone says, give someone credit. What he says, hold on. Give Barack Obama credit for fighting the Republicans. Listen, let me make it clear. The Republicans doesn't have control, neither does the Democrats. Okay? Politicians, folks, are ceremonial. These are people that they have in front of you to make you think that their constituency has a voice. That's it. They're just heads. They're just people. It's the lobbyist who put your politicians in place.
Exactly.
The lobbyist holds the purse strings and makes the real decisions. You never seen the real person or the real people who are running America. You will never see them. You will never know them. So you understand why I'm not triggered about all this? I understand that these politicians are there working a job. And guess what? The lobbyists are signing the checks. So I don't know what job you worked for. But usually when your boss is signing the checks, you do the job description according to how he says do it. So the people are not making the decisions. The lobbyists are making the decisions. So I'm not going to be caught up into this whether or not Barack Obama was better than him, or because I understand that the lobbyist, believe it or not, folks, does the planning, the 4-year planning from one president to the next, regardless of party. There's things they need to get done these 4 years, and guess what? That president will do them. He didn't make his own meetings. He didn't make his own dinners. He didn't make his own engagements and speaking engagements. All these things were in place for the whole 4 years when he swore to obtain that office. Somebody comes in, one of the secretaries come in and say, yeah, you have a dinner tomorrow. You have to be at this place tomorrow. Oh yeah, we have the NRA meeting tomorrow. All these things are already in place when that guy gets in there. Okay? So you can't trigger me. No one can trigger me with this Democrat-Republican garbage. It's to divide the people. Because if we are really one people in America, shouldn't there only be one party with one agenda for all of us? It's ridiculous. There's only one kingdom. I can't see in the kingdom of heaven where the Most High is, let you know Satan created this garbage down that we see here. where the Most High is looking on either side to the red party on this side of angels and to the blue side to this party of angels and saying, okay, argue, and whoever has the best argument, I'll listen to. There's only one voice in the heavens, one kingdom. And Christ even told us a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So aren't you dividing the people by having Democrat and Republican in one country? Automatically, you have one part of the nation against the other. It's utterly ridiculous. It was built to fall. Okay? Just some wisdom or some common sense 101. Finish reading.
Yes, sir. 1 Corinthians 9 and 26.
Yes.
I therefore so run, not as uncertainly.
Come on.
So fight I, not as one that beateth the air.
So we're not fighting as one that beateth the air. Okay. Some people just do things to bide the time, and they're just going on with life with no direction. Now, this race is with a purpose. Okay? Not just one who's doing it just to beat the air, right? And just coexist or live. No. Our run or race is with a purpose. Come on.
Verse 27. But I keep my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
So he says he does what?
Therefore I bring my body into subjection.
So he says, I bring my body into subjection.
Lest by any means.
So when it says he bring his body into subjection, he win those battles. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the temptation, the daily temptation, he must go through on a daily basis. He says, listen, so Paul even said, I understand that I have battles in the flesh that I must win, so that, why? I can tell everyone else to do what's right and they'll make it, but myself will become a castaway. Right? So he says, this is not just for you all. I have to make sure to stay on this path also. Mm-hmm. And that's that race. Come on.
Yep.
What else you have, Elder Lawya?
Yes, sir. Hebrews 12 and 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and sin that doeth easily beset us.
So we have to lay aside the little thing, or that one thing, that sin that easily besets us. We all have one thing in us, right, that can easily lead us or tempt us to fall. Okay. If put in the wrong environment, we'll fall. Mm-hmm. See? Read that last piece again.
Yes, sir. Wherefore, seeing we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that doeth so easily beset us.
And we have to now lay aside that one sin that we know continually have us fall from one year to the next. Or sometimes what happens is we'll fall to that sin, time go by, and are faced with that same scenario, and you'll know it's that same scenario, and hope that a different outcome happens this time. But guess what? You'll never get back that 5 years you lost with that decision. And you're about to now suffer another 5 years during that same decision. It's as if the Most High over and over again will bring us back to that same point until we overcome that temptation and become spiritually mature concerning that sin. He'd be like, well, okay, go back another 5 years. Now you have to build your life all over again. And you're at that same point. Now you're meeting that same person, but the person just looks different. Same scenario, and you are about to do it again. And the Most High is saying, remember that? You just recovered. You just recovered. And I'm giving you a test so that you'll know that that sin isn't worth it. Overcome this test and you'll be done with it. You can now go to the next level in this race. So life gives us tests. So the Most High will allow the tempter to come in and tempt you with that same thing again, knowing you should be mature enough after what you've gone through to overcome it. And then the tempter goes. He can't do anything with you anymore. See? Come on.
Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doeth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us.
Let us run with patience the race that was set before us. Now, I said earlier, our lesson today, and don't forget to hit the like button as you come in, folks, the wisdom to stay on the path. In order to stay on the path and win this race, which is the kingdom of heaven, you must know your God. See, it's one thing for me to come out and just say, follow the law. Right? But how can I follow the law without the wisdom to know how to deal with the law like Christ dealt with it? Because if I follow the law without understanding that spirit, that same law can put me in bonds in which I'm unuseful. I cannot do certain things because I'm restricting myself from the world. When really the Most High is calling us into the world or to the world to bring people out. You understand? So, if you follow the law to the points of bonds, you're not useful to him. So there's a wisdom on how to deal with the law. So you must first know your God. You must know your God first, because he placed us in this race and put us on that start line, birth. Right? So we must know our God. Let's go to Jeremiah 10 and 16.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse number 16. The portion of Jacob is not like them.
It says the portion of Jacob is not like them. That means the portion, our God, is not like the lesser gods that are worshipped on this earth. Right? Our God is not like the God of the Asians, or the God of the Arabs, or even the God of the so-called white man. Our God is different than their God. Okay? And I'm going to show you. See, you must know the God who have placed us at the starting line. He's not like them. So how is he? Who is he? What's required? How can I be accepted as his child and be rewarded according to his specifics? Right? Come on.
The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things.
First of all, our God is the former of all things. He made the gods, even the fallen gods that the Asians worship, that the Africans worship. I'm speaking of the original Africans, not the people you think are Africans. He made the God that the so-called white man is worshiping, the fallen one, Lucifer. He made him. Which means he comes with a higher standard. Now, there's things you can do and be excused for following those other gods. But this God comes with a higher standard. Okay? This is the God who set up equitable judgment. Okay. So our God is not like their God. It's our portion, he's different. Read.
For he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance.
And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Right? Which means Israel, the children of Israel, is an heir to all he made if we obey him. See, that gives me a whole nother level in following the law. Right? A whole nother level now. I get everything he made if I'm obedient to him. So a lesser God will come and say, you can partake of the tree of good and evil and be like gods just like us to understand both good and evil. What type of God won't allow you to indulge? Okay. Follow me. And I'll give you the desires of this earth, and you'll be fulfilled in the flesh, right? Within the time you're on earth. Right? That's the lesser gods. But our God comes with what? A promise for eternity. An inheritance to have everything the universe has to offer. Right? Now, someone comes with that deal. Right? I'm like, well, okay, sign me up to that deal. How can I get that? Okay. How can I stay on the path with that God who formed all things and I'm the rod of his inheritance? How can I get what he promised my father Abraham? Right? Come on.
The Lord of hosts is his name.
The Lord of hosts is his name. Because why? Another one of his signatures is he's the God over the host of angels. He made them. See? This world and all the religions of this world, and I just went into this not too long in the academy, folks. All the fallen gods that are running government today disobeyed and were rejected, okay, in the beginning. And they were hurled from the heavens. It was Adam's sin that gave them power in this earth for a time, and they've become the gods over your religions. The New Age religion, being a Buddhist, being a New Ager, being a Satanist, being a Christian today who don't know that they're really pagans, being a Muslim today. All of these religions, you're serving a lesser God that excuses your evil. Why? Wow. The whole time you're suffering in depression, serving in that religion. Right? Let me show you something here. So to know our God is the form of all things, right? The God of Israel. Now, the God of the nations, there's something else. Let's get what the God of the nations are in Psalms 96. So you must separate first your God from their God. Right? And then you have to begin to view these gods and religions like he do. Right? Let's get it.
Psalms chapter 96, verse 4. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods.
It says our God is to be feared above what?
All gods.
He's to be feared above all gods. Because he can destroy not just your body, but your spirit in hell. He have power over not just this realm, but the original heavenly realm. Satan only have power within this realm, within the firmament or the ozone layer. This is where his power lies. But our God's power can destroy the body and the spirit. Read.
Verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols.
All the gods of the nations are idols. So, to give you some insight to when you're following a lesser god, okay, who may excuse disobedience or foolishness. Okay. The Most High gave us an indicator. Any religion on earth with an idol attached to it is a lesser god. Thereby, you are worshiping or following Satan. Period. If you go into a Catholic church and you see idols, that's the church of Satan. If you go into a Christian church and you see a picture, I don't care if it's a picture of a black or a white Christ that people are praying to, that's the church of Satan. You go into a Buddhist temple, I don't care how relaxing the music is there. That's a church of Satan. Okay? It's that simple. You have to make choices. Why? If we can't make the correct choice concerning our God, what choice will we make when we get to that pass road or that fork in the road where that choice is life or death? Which choice will we make if we don't know what God to serve first? See? So the choices starts with him, knowing him, praying to him, and making a real relationship with him and saying, Lord, I'll obey. I tried it my way. It doesn't work. Show me your way. And he'll say, open the book. That's my way. There's many books on earth, but that's me. That's my word. Open that book, follow that law, and I'll give you common sense. I'll give you a spiritual maturity. I'll put you on the path because at least you'll be able to discern and weigh your life with my word. Now, automatically that gives you a higher level of spiritual maturity. Look at my law and compare it to the things you're doing. Okay? Look at where your actions have gotten you breaking that law. I'll forgive that. But today, choose which God you'll serve. See? Now you're at point A now. You're at the start now. Okay, let me run this race. I did it my way. It doesn't work, right? Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. For all the gods of the nations are idols.
They're what?
Are idols.
Are idols.
But the Lord made the heavens.
But the Lord, our God, the God of Israel, Ahia, made the heavens. Right? Now, one of the greatest pushbacks we get, Elder Lawyer, is out of all the Hebrew Israelite groups and people out there speaking, even the so-called Jewish experts, if you hear the word Ahia, you automatically equate that with the gathering of Christ Church because we exalt his name like the Bible says do. Why? You must know your God. We said for a long time that Yahweh is Jovi or Zeus, who Satan began to worship, who Esau began to worship once he lost his birthright. The God of Mount Seir is Yahweh or Baal. I got one for me and I have one for Lawya. This is yours. It says, El Yahweh des Zeus is Jupiter. Now, we've been teaching this for a long time. They know that Yahweh is Jupiter or Zeus. What you see here is the statue of Zeus, Satan, that was in the original temples in Europe. A matter of fact, the statue of, they call Peter in the Vatican today, is an old statue that was taken out of the pagan church, Zeus. And they say it's Peter in the Vatican today. Well, guess what? That's Yahweh. Lawyer, this is yours.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. You put it. I got one. You have one. Right? Now, in the book is nothing but ancient sources of how this Yahweh was actually promoted in Mount Seir and other places of the earth, even up into Europe and Rome. And when we fell, their so-called scribes began to scribe Yahweh into the record and Jehovah into the record to have us call on a lesser God, to separate us. Now, I already got all of that research, but I'm glad they consolidated that with ancient resources to give us that middle time between the ancient civilizations and fill in the blanks with that European time in which they began to take over as Christians up into the 4th century and began to inject that false God into the psyches of those who believed in Christ. Okay? Jehovah is not God's name. Yehoshua is not Christ's name. So first of all, you must know your God. Okay? Our portion, our God, the God of the Bible gave Moses his name. Ahiah, Ashar, Ahiah is God's name. He's the God who delivered Israel from the land of Egypt. Yeshaya means my or our Savior, is Christ's name. Right? And I want to pull out one scripture on that first, because on that path, we must first know who have placed us at the start of this race. And the Most High is not the author of confusion. He's not going to have everyone out there calling them different names. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. Let's get Romans 10 and 13 real quick.
Romans chapter 10, verse number 13.
Read.
For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
For whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. So don't tell me the name isn't important. I need to know who's given the prize at the end of this race. I don't know about you. Read.
Verse 14. How then shall they call upon him in whom they have not believed?
How can you call on him in whom you have not believed? Now, for years under the Christian church, I was calling on Jesus. But there was no J's invented into the English language when Christ walked the earth. So that's an impossibility for his name to be Jesus. Jesus is actually a variant of Zeus. Okay? There was no J's. So it would have been impossible for the disciples and others to be casting out demons in Jesus' name. And see, people say, well, that's in the Greek. Christ wasn't a Greek. He was an Israelite. He was Hebrew. Okay? So that's another trick Satan used to have us call on a lesser God, knowing that there's power on the left-hand side in what they call the spirit of invocation, invoking a name of the God you serve for power. Come on.
How shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard?
And how can they believe on a God whom they have not heard? So it tells us in the Old Testament that our God name is dreadful to the nations. Right? So wouldn't it be in Satan's interest to hide God's name? Knowing that he is the adversary? That he's against Satan and Satan is the adversary? Wouldn't it be in Satan's interest to try to eradicate or hide God's name from his people. So you think the synagogue of Satan is going to produce to you the name that freed the children of Israel out of Egypt? Are you kidding me? Right now, they are Pharaoh. The synagogue of Satan in this earth today is Pharaoh. You think they're going to produce the name in scrolls that will free the slaves? So know your God first. And I don't care how many people come against us teaching the true name of the Most High. There's a reward in exalting his name, even when this whole earth, including our people, are trying to extinguish it or try to downplay it. Well, it doesn't matter. It does matter, folks. Someone call you out of your name, you're triggered. Finish reading what you have.
Yes, sir. The rest of verse 14. And how shall they hear without a preacher? Verse number 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them which preach the gospel of peace and bring good tidings of good things.
Read that last piece again.
Yes, sir. Verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed?
Come on.
And how shall they believe in him in whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher?
And how shall they hear without a preacher? So it tells us that the end days, because Christ and the disciples began the beginning of what we call the end times. Part of the gospel was what? A preacher must teach you because the name has been what? Erased. Read that last piece again.
How shall they believe in him in whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher?
How shall you hear the name of God without a preacher? Read.
Verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent?
And how shall they preach except they be sent? So Christ and his discipleship was sent with the name of God, the name that's above all names. Read.
As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them which preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things.
Who bring glad tidings of good things. So now that we know the name of the Most High in Christ, there's another attribute that we should know about our God. Let's go to James 1 and 13.
James chapter 1 verse 13.
So we mentioned earlier that we're in the hour of temptation, right? That to stay on this race, being the word or the wisdom to stay on the path is our topic for those who've just come in. How to stay on this path and run the race to the end, right? James 1 and 13, read it.
Yes, sir. James chapter 1 verse 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High.
Let no man say that when he's tempted or something happened bad, that God tempted you to make that choice. I said earlier that we're going to use wisdom or common sense to stay on this path going forward. We have to stop bringing God into our choices. Right? So many times, if we're warned when it comes to certain decisions, automatically we began to trump people who are trying to give us wisdom by saying, I believe God is moving me in this direction.
Right.
Well, hey, if God is doing it, I'm definitely backing up.
Right.
If you, but that's what they use so that no one can give them what? Critical advice, constructive advice. They can stifle you by saying, because what can I say if I try to give someone advice and say they believe God is moving them in that direction? Okay. We have to stop doing that. Because in your conscience, you'll know whether or not it's a good or bad decision. And usually when you ask if you can do it, there's some doubt there. There's something that you're skeptical about within that particular scenario. If you have to ask about it. Okay, that's how it works. Your conscience is saying, wait, there's more details needed before this decision. That's all. If you're not sure, don't jump into something. The Most High is saying, just be patient. It took me a long while to work on you to get you from that point to where you are now. Don't go backward now. I know what you want and what you desire. But if it took you so much time by yourself to try to get this thing together for yourself, why go backward? Wait and get more details. Don't try to justify it by saying certain things to have other people believe what you hope will happen. If you understand what I'm saying. You hope it works out, so you're painting this rosy picture for everyone else to get on board, to say, yeah, go for it. Right? Understand that our God will never tempt a person to make the wrong choice. Right? Never. But Satan will. So I'm saying that, folks, when we are in that place where it's us and the Most High alone and a decision is being made, a choice is being made on what to do in this life, folks, you must weigh that decision with the word. And you have to look at whether or not you did this before. And what was the consequences you suffered because of it. You have to weigh it with the word and say, hold up, I was here before. And what did I get out of it? Right? Understand that the Most High is not going to put someone in your life that's going to do evil or wicked or hurt towards you. And I'm going to use that as an example. He would never do that. So if we made choices and those things happened, it was our choice. That was our choice. It wasn't his choice. Okay? Now I wanted to get back on track here.
If you don't mind, I have one other
Okay, come on.
point.
Come on.
And I don't know if you want to finish this out.
Yeah, you can finish it out.
James 1 and James 1 and 13.
Come on.
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High. For the Most High cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man.
Come on.
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust.
When he's drawn away of his own desires. This is what I want to do. I don't care if mama tried to warn me. I don't care if father tried to warn me. I don't care what my best friend. I'll cut off my best friends. This is what I want right now. And then when they try to come in and say, just wait a little bit. And you'll sit there and say, I believe God did this and God did that, and you don't understand. When the Most High is really speaking through everyone around you who know you, warning you and saying, run now. Run. You cried on my shoulders the last time with this same scenario. You cannot see because you have fallen over and over like this. You're not mature enough to overcome this yet. Depend on those who care for you and understand that this is going to knock you back 5 or 10 years. You cannot make this decision. Because when you make that decision, guess what happens? You have made an agreement with Satan, and what the Most High had after this agreement, what he had for you, the next day walks right by you. It was there. You were this close, And now you're back knocking yourself back 5 or 10 years with a bad decision. Right? And listen, I'm not equating it to any, if you notice, I'm using really any examples that all of us have experienced. You fill in the blanks because
Exactly.
it applies in every area, folks.
Exactly.
Right? Come on, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. Then when lust hath conceived,
When lust hath conceived, the moment happened. Read.
it bringeth forth sin,
It bringeth forth more sin.
and sin when it is finished,
And when sin is finished,
it bringeth forth death.
it bringeth forth death. And look what's going on in our communities right now, folks. Nothing but death, right? That's a product of many bad decisions. And I'm stating that lightly. The majority of the decisions we make are impulsive, like children, without understanding the grave consequences they'll have on the future generations. The Most High is saying, no, you can't be impulsive. One must be patient, like I'm patient. With patience, possess ye your soul. You can't be impulsive. You can't be tempted into scenarios because at the end of the day, these people that are edging you to do something are not going to be there through the whole fall, and they're not going to repair your whole life to the point, where you can see straight again. You'll fall and they out. They're gone. Right? So we can't be impulsive, but patient in this race. Right? What else you have, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Continuing on that point, this is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 15:11
Yes.
through 17.
Yeah.
Say not thou, it is through the Lord that I fell away.
Don't ever say it's through the Most High that you fell away. Try to blame God. Read.
For thou oughtest not to do the things that he hateth.
Because we knew better. But we made an excuse to fulfill the lust of our flesh. We knew better. See? Come on.
Verse 12. Say not thou, he hath caused me to err.
And don't say it's the Most High that calls you to err. Never that. Come on.
For he hath no need of the sinful man.
Because he has no need for the sinful man. He gave us the law, folks. He gave us the law and said, you are supposed to measure the requirements of your requirements with me as far as this path was concerned. And how many times it happens where the fall happens and something grave happens and we say, well, God works in mysterious ways. And he's like, what? I had nothing to do with this. What God are you talking about? No, don't try to bring the Most High in. The Most High is clear concerning his law and the requirements of those who serve him. Read.
Verse 13. The Lord hateth all abominations, and they that fear the Most High love it not.
The Most High hate all abominations. Anything unlawful, the Most High hates. So you can't make a choice to do what the Most High hates and try to bring him in to excuse your choice. That's your choice. These are our choices. He's like, listen, don't try to equate me with sin at all.
This is going to say that.
Come on.
Verse 14. He himself made man from the beginning and left him in the hand of his counsel.
Come on.
If thou wilt, to keep the commandments and to perform the acceptable faithfulness, he have set fire and water before thee.
He have set fire and water before thee. He's talking about what? That path. Because in the middle of that fire and water is a path. Read.
He have set fire and water before thee. Stretch forth thy hand unto whether thou wilt.
Come on.
Before man is life and death, and whether him liketh shall be given him. So in other words, the Most High put both before us. So you have to choose one. And whatever you choose will determine your path.
And what's deep in you bringing that out, Elder Lawya, is this. The majority of life choices we make leads to either one or the other. There's no in between. There's no middle place. The majority of the choices we make will lead to life everlasting or death. Right? And I can, I'm looking, I see online and I see some of the things and sometimes I try not to let that affect me negatively. Seeing how our people perpetually is living the curse, and as a result of it, our children are suffering in these communities. We make a choice with a person that there's red flags all over the place concerning this person. And the example I can make, just one small example. I said I'm going to use one example. You will meet a person. You will meet a guy, and this guy has children all over the place. And for some reason, you will think what he did to those other women is not going to happen to me. Or vice versa. See, that's showing a lack of what we would call spiritual maturity. He told someone else he loved them. Everything you're hearing, he said over and over again, and it works. So there's a demographic that this guy targets, knowing he can lead. He can do what? Do what he's doing. But at the end of the day, what happens? That child grow up dysfunctional and becomes a terror within our communities, with no one to guide him and give that child the wisdom that was needed. And that be that young man who could have grown up and became a prophet, a teacher, something constructive, something right. That choice, you didn't see it at that time, was leading to death. Because you brought that one guy in the community, 10, 15 people are dead now by the hands of your son. Or more, if he decided to go to the streets and sell crack. And then the daughter becomes what? Dysfunctional. She believed that the way mom brought me in the world is normal. And she will bring forth more sons like that who become what? Recruits in Satan's army to destroy us inwardly. See that? Our choices will either lead left or right. It's life or death. I'm just using just one example. Right? Let's go now, Elder Lawya. Let's go do 1 Thessalonians 3 and 4. And 5.
1 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse number 4.
Yes.
For verily, when we were with you, we told you before that we should suffer tribulation.
So keep in mind, folks, and I'm going here, why? Usually we make choices based on our circumstances or something going wrong. Satan to use that scenario to lead you further into darkness. Okay, an example. I grew up, I had a hard life, and there was drugs around, there was these other things around, and by default, because of my tribulation environment, a woman may have to go and strip. She'll use that as an excuse of why she stripped. Things was hard, I had to sling cane to make it, because that was my reality. You hear that all the time, don't you? When really the tribulation, that time of tribulation was supposed to be a time of separation to get with the Most High and be built from your lower state into a son or daughter of His. So we use tribulation as an excuse to continue the sin and death amongst us, when really tribulation ain't for that. Tribulation was made to shape what? The Most High's powerful army. Mm-hmm. Let me read it. Come on.
For verily, when we were with you, we told you that we should suffer tribulation.
Expect to go through hard times. We're born under a curse of our forefathers. So tribulation is a part of our existence. But let us not now use that tribulation to cause further harm on our own people. How do we use that tribulation positively? One might ask. Read.
Even as it came to pass, and ye know, for this cause, when I could no longer forbear, I sent to know your faith, lest by some means the tempter have tempted you, and our labor be in vain.
It says what?
Lest by some means the tempter have tempted you.
Before that.
Yes, sir. Verse number 5. For this cause, when I could no longer forbear.
When I could no longer forbear the tribulation, read.
I sent to know your faith.
I sent to know your faith. So when we're going through tribulation, folks, that's a test of our faith. If we overcome that moment, we do what? We graduate to the next level in this race. Read.
I sent to know your faith, lest by some means the tempter have tempted you.
Because the tempter comes in our lowest state. It's telling you right there. Even the righteous, the saints, were dealing with this. Things are going wrong in the family. Nothing is working out right and all that. Now the tempter comes with a solution. Usually Satan gets his recruits when we're at a crossroad or a lower state or in a state of depression. Example. You can have a girl who believed in the Most High. She always did what was right. Had a guy that she cooked for, cleaned for, got him up on his feet, and made this man into one who would be desirable by others. This man, instead of him respecting her making him, goes off and take all of that she made and join himself with someone else and leave her alone by herself after she helped make him into the man someone else is benefiting from. She becomes angry at that low point, and one of her girlfriends, who quote unquote is dealing with the LGBT thing, is there to help support her through her depression, pays her rent because she can't get up, do all these things and be there as moral support. And next thing you know, you hear that this girl have turned lesbian. I'm just using an example. And guess what, brothers and sisters? That example is so prevalent in our society. These girls weren't like that. Mm-hmm. They're not like that. But Satan comes in at their lowest point of vulnerability and turn them That time of temptation when she could have looked at that scenario at that point of tribulation, right? And looked at it like, you know what? This is my alone time. I don't need to be influenced by anyone in this state, not knowing which way I'll turn. I'm not listening to her. I'm not listening to him. Mom, I know I'm there. I'm there with you, but I don't want you to influence me, go out and do anything wrong. I don't want my girlfriends to take me out to some party and all that, and I meet the wrong person. Let me connect with the Father here. He's the only one who can resolve this for me. Now, your path has begun. It's like that time of temptation where Christ was taken up into a high mountain and was tempted by Satan. And it was just them two alone fighting. And Christ overcame it. That low point is the time to connect because you can be easily influenced in that weak state. That's how you stay on the path. Because Satan see you crying, see you going through this, and now you're angry. He can use all those emotions to turn you off of the path. Are you following me here? Right? Let's go to Sirach in Ecclesiasticus real quick.
Sirach chapter 6, verse 1, or verse 2.
Come on.
In fact, I'll start in verse 1. Instead of a friend, become not an enemy.
The Bible says, instead of a friend, become not an enemy. So, as much life within every person, be at peace with all people. And it doesn't matter what race they are, folks. See, when you graduated to temperance, you're not easily triggered. A man of wisdom or a woman with wisdom can get along with anyone. Okay, because that's how Christ was. Right? Read that again.
Instead of a friend, become not an enemy.
Become not an enemy. You can't be out there because someone look a certain type of way or they disagree with you or whatever the case is. It's, well, I don't want nothing to do with you. Okay. That's not smart, folks. We can't just be cutting people off because they don't agree with us or don't look like us. Right? So we're not going to make any enemies. Guess what? I can have a difference of opinion with you and it's okay. All right. Because your opinion don't influence my path. I'm still good with my connection with the Most High on this path. We have a difference of opinion. Okay. One day, how many times on either side you were right or wrong about something, and then life experiences had you understand that you were wrong on that, and you came back and said, you know what? You were right. I was wrong at that time because it wasn't my time to see it yet. So we get to this point of being headstrong in a moment, making enemies because people disagree. Because someone disagrees with you. Okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to make an enemy. We may one day need each other. And this little spat or disagreement isn't worth us losing a relationship. Right? So instead of a friend, you don't have to be all buddy-buddy with people. But don't go around making enemies. That's wisdom, folks. That's wisdom. Come on.
Instead of a friend, become not an enemy, for thereby thou shalt inherit an ill name, shame, and reproach.
Come on.
Even so
because
shall...
no one's going to want to be around you. You come around and the whole house get quiet and wonder, well, what's wrong with everyone else? Like, oh my God, here he come, here she come. Because they know if they say the wrong thing, it's a fight. If they say they can't even be natural and speak naturally and joke with you because they know that you're the type of person that's easily triggered, like being immature, and it's gonna be a fight in the house. So when you come around, everybody's like, oh my God, here they go again. And you gotta monitor this person. Okay. I think that's drink number 3. By the time he get to 4, the roof is gonna be raised up in here. We all have family like that, right? Go to a family gathering and it's the same person fighting. Right? Oh, he'll come strolling, man. Yeah, y'all didn't tell me about this party. I found out on Facebook. Well, hey, you know why no one told you about the party? But I digress. You didn't even get the message, John. You didn't even get the indirect message of why you weren't invited. Right? Come on.
Even so shall a sinner that have a double tongue.
Even then, this is who makes enemies. A sinner who has a double tongue. This is a person who speaks out of both sides of their face, lying just to lie. In instances where you don't even have to lie. To be the center of attention, they'll come and make something up in social gatherings. How many of you people you have seen like that? Just lying just to lie. We can't be those people. Okay. Come on.
Verse 2. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart.
It says, extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart. Right? That means you have convinced yourself of something without weighing right from wrong according to the word of God. I've seen people formulate opinions, and then when they come out with, not only that, they acted on these opinions as if the opinions were fact. Mm-hmm. You will formulate something in your mind, without verifying whether or not it's right or wrong. And now you've done all these things off of a thought, off of what you convinced yourself of. I don't think she liked me. Did she do something to you? Well, no, I just, when it seems like when she comes around, she says hi to everyone else. So now a fight is going to develop that started in her mind. That girl wasn't even paying attention to her, didn't even think about anything. But she'll formulated something that's going to lead to what? Now she's going to be talking about that person behind their back and all these things. And she's going to create what started in her own mind. This division, now it's evident now. Because why? And that's why we call this the wisdom to stay on the path. Here's the wisdom to stay on the path, folks. Read that again.
Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart.
Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart. Well, you know what that means in common sense? Verify what you're thinking is correct. Verify it. Don't think something in your mind without saying it and formulate an opinion against someone. See? This is the mature way of walking in this truth. Do not formulate an opinion in your own mind unverified. And guess what? What you're thinking might be true. But you must verify it first.
Right.
If you have a problem with someone coming in the house, speaking to everyone else and not you, you have to go to this person and say, in the spirit of meekness, I hope you're not offended, but when you come in the house, you should say hi because, I'm a nice person. I'm not going to bite you. And be like, oh, my fault. And the next time you don't have to worry about that. See? Or she can say, well, I did the last time and you didn't speak to me. And be like, well, I was talking. Oh, my fault. I'm sorry. How you doing? See? No sin and no division can come from that because it's verified. See? Conversation, socializing, loving each other. The wisdom to stay on the path. Come on, Elder Lawyer.
That thy soul be not torn in pieces as a wild bull or as a bull straying alone.
Because why? If you don't verify and begin to make up things in your mind, you will be what according to scriptures?
As a bull straying alone.
You'll be like a bull straying alone. When someone is continually confrontational in every setting, is what the Apocrypha is speaking of right here. They're easily triggered. There's a fight, all of that. How many of you would like to invite a bull to sit on your couch? Okay? And have a glass of wine in a social setting with you. Mm-hmm. It says, if you don't know how to socially interact by having your brain or your mind be your worst enemy, eventually you're going to be left alone with your brain tormenting yourself like a wild bull straying alone. And Satan will actually work with you and make you believe it's everyone else. And here's one of the favorite terms used in these settings. People just don't understand me. I'm different. You know what? People, guess what? They understand you. They fully understand you. Okay? You find yourself like a stray bull straying alone. Okay? That's the Apocrypha. This is the wisdom on how to stay. If you want to be able to interact and build with the people, you have to know how to socially interact righteously without every time we come together as a people, there's always an offense or an argument or there's a problem in that gathering. It's because we don't have common sense social skills according to the word. Right? And that's what we're learning to stay on the path here. Now, finish reading what you have, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I need you to also go to how to choose a friend, because that's another issue we have on this path.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Verse number 3. Chapter 6, Sirach chapter 6, verse 3.
Yes.
Thou shalt eat up thy leaves and lose thy fruit and leave thyself as a dry tree. A wicked soul shall destroy him that hath it.
And it says here, you'll leave yourself as a dry tree, unnourished. You will find yourself alone, blaming everyone else. Come on.
A wicked soul shall destroy him that hath it, and shall make him to be laughed at to scorn of his enemies. Verse number 5. Sweet language will multiply friends, and
it says what?
Sweet language will multiply friends.
Sweet language will multiply friends. So if you have one who's a loner, who's always by themselves and all that with little friends, right? Not to say, because some people are just recluse. That's an anomaly in this example here. I'm talking about a person who interacts with people but still find themselves alone. Right? Read that again.
Sweet language will multiply friends.
But you have to watch how you interact with people. Not being abrasive with your tongue. when you speak, it's less congratulating and more complaining. Right? Read it again.
Sweet language will multiply friends.
Sweet language will multiply friends. Yeah, the Most High is going to cut your head off. Yeah, we're going to be doing this. Yeah, the Most High going to do this. And the Most High going to do that. And all that madness. Foolishness. When Christ spoke as a man in authority with wisdom, people loved Christ when he spoke. Not being abrasive and offending people with your tongue. Guess what? A pugilant child operates like that. Right? Come on.
Sweet language will multiply friends, and a fair-speaking tongue will increase kind greetings.
It says what will increase kind greetings?
And a fair-speaking tongue will increase kind greetings.
A fair-speaking tongue will increase what?
Kind greetings.
Kind greetings. You get back what you put out. You reap what you sow. So if you're kind to others, that kindness will be in return. Wisdom on how to stay on the path, folks. We can't be walking around like walking what you would call government conspiracy theorists, where everything we look at, we say the government did this to my food, or the government, you understand? It's okay to know about that and warn people of it, but you can't go in someone's house and say, get this out of your house, or every time someone speaks, you segue it into nuclear missiles.
Right.
You have to learn to have a normal conversation and condescend to the lowest level until those conversations, are needed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time for all things under heaven, and you have to understand you can have a good idea in bad timing. Okay? Every place you go, you can't point out what people are doing wrong. No one is going to be around you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can show example. I have, like, to show you from whence, because these are growing curves here, right? Because I can look at when I first got the truth compared to now. I've learned how to temper this with the wisdom that comes with walking in it for a while. I've sat across from the table at the same table where everyone is eating clean food and someone at the table is eating pork. Right? And they know my beliefs, they know all that. They know what I believe in and all that. And you know what? But I know this person is a great person. Great person. And I'm like, man, I'm glad the Most High have moved me to where I am right now, because I would have totally dealt with this person differently 15, 20 years ago. Totally. But you know what? He's on, or she's on, their race. They're on their path.
That's right.
And it's going to come a time where if the Most High give an opportunity, because I still have the relationship, I can explain to them in more detail why I made this choice to follow the Most High. Or they may just figure it out on their own and come to me and say, yo, I was tripping. But I still, thank the Most High, have our relationship intact. And I wasn't going to let one scenario stop that relationship.
That's right.
I wasn't going to destroy the whole social setting by saying, what did you order? What you got over there? See? Instead of an enemy, instead of a friend, make not an enemy. I'm not going to embarrass someone in a social setting because they don't know the dietary law yet. You should care about that person's feelings in those scenarios. We're here to have fun. We're here to sit here and get to know each other. And now I'm singling you out. It's not right. But 15, 20 years ago, that social setting would have been blowed up immediately. I'd have been in one restaurant and they would have been in another restaurant. Right? Mm-hmm. But are we looking to win souls, folks? That's right. And I'm not saying excuse purpose sin. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, folks, we have to learn to interact for an opportunity to pull our brothers and sisters out who are not quite yet there yet.
Right. Exactly.
See? Patience. Let's go.
Verse number 6. Be in peace with many, nevertheless, have but one counselor of 1,000.
It says, be at peace with many, but have one counselor of 1,000. Now, this is the wisdom here, because you all know out there, we have people in our lives who will tell us what we want to hear. Many of those. But we have this one person, regardless of circumstance, even if it means losing you, will tell you the truth. That's your counselor. That's the person the Most High put in your life to keep you balanced. When it's sin you want to do, you go to the people who just will do it with you or excuse you and say, "Well, don't worry about it. We all go through things." Right. That's your hell buddy. Okay. That's your hell buddy. But the Bible is talking about the one person that you are afraid to tell things to because they always shoot straight with you. The Bible says you have to have one of those. And usually if a person is a habitual sinner, they've made that one person who would tell them the truth, they've already made that person their enemy. Because they were honest with them. You better go and get that brother or sister back. You don't need a lot of yes people in your life. You need a person, at least one person, who's going to say, "Listen, you ain't going to come around here like your stuff don't smell. I'm going to tell you the truth." You need that one person in your life, folks, to stay on this path. You don't want a bunch of yes people who excuse your behavior around you. You'll never grow with these people. You need that one person. And guess what? Some of us had that person, be it mom or dad growing up and they passed over. But there's other people. The Most High usually replace that person with someone else in your life who will be honest. Find out who that person is and make them your friend again. Read that again.
Verse 6, Sirach 6 and 6. Be in peace with many, nevertheless, of a counselor, or have but one counselor of 1,000. If thou wouldest get
It says have one counselor of 1,000. Have that one person that tells you the truth, regardless. That's like having that angel you've seen on the cartoons on the shoulder saying, "Do the right thing." That Most High have sent you an angel. Someone who's honest. Who really loves you. When it comes to that crossroad decision on, that we find ourselves in, about to make the same mistake, go to that person and talk to that person about it. Read.
Verse 7. It says here, verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him.
And if you get a friend, prove him first. Now, believe it or not, folks, throughout all of my life, this has been one of my Achilles heels. Automatically, you get someone in your life and you believe because they show some level of positivity or they relate with you on certain areas, automatically you'll open up the doors and just embrace this person without knowing needed details. That's been my Achilles heel for a long time, meeting people and immediately treating them as if they've been in my life all my life. Right? Like, nah. And when people try to point it out who love or care for me and say, yo, you had to watch that. I'm like, why are you always hating? Why you this brother's cool. And they were like, listen, you better listen. And I'm like, listen, the Most High got it. And you inject the Most High in it to excuse or to ignore what everyone else sees. Because you want to believe that everyone would be the same friend you are. You would like to believe that. But it's not so. It's not realistic. And that's a shame because it should be. So the wisdom scriptures give us what you would call the scale to weigh things on before jumping all the way in. Right? You weigh things and then you jump in. That's what wisdom does. Wisdom have you go back and look at it constructively and critically outside of our feelings or how we hope things should be. See? Read it again.
Be in peace with many, nevertheless, have but one counselor of 1,000. If thou wouldest get a friend,
if you get a friend,
prove him first.
Prove that person first. And when it says friend, folks, a lot of you think of, well, my homeboy growing up, or sisters, my homegirl growing up. But this applies first to your life friend. The person that you will marry for the rest of your life. It applies first to that. Mm-hmm. You just can't be meeting some people and think that because you both are Libras and simple stuff like that, and yeah, he's a Capricorn. Nah. You can't be just meeting a person and think that this is the person you're going to be with the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. Only children thinks like that. That's a fairy tale. You got to prove this person because you're bringing them into your private space with your loved ones, with people that you are responsible for protecting. This is a stranger here. I don't care how good they look or what. That's a stranger. Stranger danger. So you got to prove that person first. Being guarded. You got to have a guarded protection in front of you where that person worked their way into your family, where they are saying the right things concerning him or her. And then you still have to be guarded. Right? And it's speaking of your life friend first. Too many times we let infatuation or how someone looks or how someone is shaped cloud our judgment concerning a friend. Come on.
Verse number 7 or verse number 8. For some man is a friend.
And I'm going to tell you this. Someone who have liked you on Instagram or Facebook for 2 months straight isn't a friend. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it must be. I don't know what it is. Maybe we're maybe there's some shallow thing in us which say, I need this amount of likes to feel socially accepted. I would never understand what's up with this like button on Instagram or Facebook. I mean, I don't have either of them. Maybe that's why I don't realize it or know it. But I heard it looked like they was about to go tip over the White House when Instagram was talking about taking away the like button. I'm like, boy, that's what you need, a digital or what you would call a cyber acceptance from the outside of you to get fulfilled, to have some level of fulfillment. Come on.
Verse 8. For some man is a friend for his own occasion.
It says, show a friend, right? Try a friend, because some is a friend for their own occasion. And I'm going to say this especially for sisters. You have to be careful. Because why? Sisters are emotional creatures. And they tend to let their emotions lead in decisions. Right? It's like this. If there's a guy you meet and he don't have a place to live and he's just telling you he's just in between situations right now because his baby mama or someone didn't understand what he was going through, but yet you think he's cute, and you got a house and you got your children up in there, you better not let that man up in your home. Okay? This guy is used to sleeping on other people's couches. Okay? This guy is used to living on the lam. He need a place to sleep and spread his seed before he go find another couch in bed. And see, and guess what? That's abnormal. No real man is going to feel like a man being taken care of by a woman. That's not a man. So I know sisters are saying there's no good men out there and all that. Guess what? How many times we've probably missed that man having that guy there who's no longer around. And I'm saying this, brothers and sisters, because the Bible tells us, the Apocrypha tells us, you gain much wisdom through travel. And I was able to speak to some of the people in the Middle East while living over there. And I noticed that there's an inordinate number, to some degree, of single men. Now, that's an anomaly to me. I'm like, it's the reverse in America. But it's not that they choose to be single. So I was asking this Arab guy, what's up with these single men? And they was like, listen, in our culture, you got to have this amount of money. You got to have a flat or a house for the wife and a certain amount of money already for her and the family before the father will say yes to her hand. And I'm like, are you serious? It's like, if we want a wife, we have to work to get her and deserve her. And I'm like, you know what? These are definitely the sons of Abraham. They may be in a different religion, but a lot of those principles in the Middle East is written in scripture.
That's right.
And I don't understand how a sister will work her behind off, got her children there, have protected and made a shelter for her children, and then bring some guy who want to walk and operate like a bum and destroy everything she built. Okay? And that's what happens. And I know some people say, well, there's not enough women out there out there for men who don't have much. She's just trying to help her brother who don't have much. You can help him with him living on the outside of your house and have it where he prove himself like the scriptures say. Get on your feet, and make something of yourself so that you can be a man and be honored in my house as a man. Not someone who's only here to bring the physical side of the relationship. That's what the scripture said. Let's read it again.
And before I read that, I'll read this point here in Sirach 4:10. It says, "Be as a father unto the fatherless, instead of an husband unto their mother. So shalt thou be as a son of the Most High, and he shall love thee the more than thy mother doeth." Jumping back over.
Now read that one more time.
Yes, sir. Sirach 4:10. "Be as a father unto the fatherless, instead of an husband unto their mother. So shalt thou be the son of the Most High, and he shall love thee more than thy mother doeth."
That's a man. Now there are scenarios where God will come in and he got it together. And he's looking at the situation and saying, you know what? I love this woman. And regardless of what happened in the past and her mistakes, that son or whatever don't have a father around, I'm going to jump in and do it. But I'm bringing my bag. I'm bringing what I have. And if I have to, I'm like, listen, I got a place. Y'all can move in with me. But still, there's a proving ground before that is actually discussed on either side. Right?
Yes, sir. Jumping back to Sirach chapter 6, verse number 8.
Come on.
"For some man is a friend for his own occasion."
It says prove a friend because some people are a friend based on what they can get from you right now. They're hustlers. Okay? They're con artists. And it's a shame because it seems like our community manufacture these people. They're manufactured out of us. People who know how to look for the vulnerable of people to get things from them for their own turn. Okay? That's what the Bible is talking about. Try a friend because this guy is just trying to get what or this girl is trying to get something for today. They just trying to shake you down. Okay? So try them first. And guess what? Even in church settings, and I tell brothers and sisters all the time, when it comes, you're going to have all types of scenarios who come in the church because usually it's a healing process from the world of sin. Usually people come into church because they're trying to cleanse themselves of something. So it's upon the elders and the overseers to make sure, because people are going to come into the church homeless, but you don't know what led to their homelessness. So you thinking, oh, they in the church and let me bring them home with me. And next thing you know, the whole house is burned down. You don't know what you brought in your house. You let these shepherds lead the sheep. You don't go in and bring someone in your house who is still dealing with issues and now the whole house is turned upside down. Well, I thought it's a church. I wanted to. No, you wanted a man. Or vice versa. You wanted a woman and you didn't know what issues they were dealing with. Okay? No. Let's be patient. Let us people come through and just work out these and purge themselves of these demons. That's what they're here for. They're here to get cleansed. So what we do is we bring people home like strays a lot. And next thing you know, it tears our whole house up. And guess who's looking at you the whole time with these decisions? Your children. They sitting there, yeah, they on their phones, but they're looking right at you. Okay, let's see who he or she gonna bring home now. They got their phones like this. Okay, what's his name? Okay, Mom. All right. Wonder how long he's gonna be around. Perpetual curse. Come on.
"And will not abide in the day of thy trouble."
But when trouble comes, they're out of there. They're only there to use you. But when you looking at the bills and all the stuff is on the table, you go, oh my God, got the cell phone here, I got the electric here, my children tuition is up. Next thing you know, you kind of trying to figure out what's going on. You look outside, your car gone. He done took your car too. When time of tribulation, when it's time, when you need something, now they talking about they need some space. Now you giving them the reality of what the relationship comes with, and that's bills too. They're saying, well, listen, we jumped into this too quick right now. I just need my space right now. Listen, that space was supposed to have been there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Now he's on to the next game. That's what happens. Someone who really don't know who they are. And they learn to operate in that period of ambiguity from one person to the next. And they made that a life, folks. You become a mark to these people. So the Bible tells you, you have to try them first. And 9 times out of 10, if they see you operate with some wisdom and you're trying them, either they're going to straighten up and do the right thing and prove themselves, or you'll save yourself because they're already working on the next person on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Because they scrolled down, you didn't work, so they're going to scroll up and say, let me get with her now. Mm-hmm. Someone says, Beautiful Mo says, I've been in this situation. Right? Finish what you got, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse number 9. And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife,
then you have a friend who turned to enmity and strife now. Mm-hmm. Read.
Will discover thy reproach.
Now, these are some of the friends we get. We get friends and believe that they're in our corner. But no. These particular people are actually keeping a dossier on all the negative they've examined against you. Mm-hmm. They're really keeping a book of negative to be used against you and talk behind your back concerning your life. So when other people say, well, she got it going on, I like her, or he like her, or whatever the case is, or I like him, you got the other person coming in saying, well, you don't really know him. Mm-hmm. You don't really know her, because they want the attention. And they'll keep all this stuff against you to keep the higher moral ground. Mm. And when you start to recognize something about this particular person, what they'll do is they'll slightly remind you that they got some things on you that you don't want out. So you stay in your place, okay? Mm. I got the book on you. And you know who's doing this in our communities more so than anybody? The so-called LBGT community. Mm. Our sisters are hanging out with these people thinking that these people are for them. When really these people are actually keeping a dossier against you to be used against you the whole time. You talking about some manufactured haters. These people keep confusion in our lives amongst our women and children. And the whole time they're keeping a book against the woman that they hang. Oh, girl, because who you think watching your kids when you're not around? You calling these guys. Okay? They know the guys that you're dating and all that because you're talking to them about it. Okay? I'm telling you the truth today, folks. It seems as if we accept anyone as our friends, doesn't it? But we need to choose our friends wisely to stay on this path, folks. We choose wrong when it comes to friends. We need that small, righteous, honest group as a circle. That's our circle. And everyone else, we can be okay friends with. But you understand? you're not staying the night in my house. You're not around my children. You're not going to come around me and try to, search out liberty to try to use against me, because why? I'm just being myself, and I can be myself around my friends without someone looking and saying, well, hold up now. You shouldn't be this and you shouldn't be that. No. You got to have people around you who can protect you, love you, and don't judge everything you do. Okay? That's a friend. And this is how you know you had an enemy around you the whole time. Once you fall out, they're out there airing everything they knew about you and keeping tabs on you the whole time. When if it was an issue, they wouldn't have been around you to actually build a dossier. Mm-hmm. If that was a real issue, why did you stay so long to accumulate so much negative? Mm-hmm. That's how you know that was never a friend, folks. Because when you fall out, they put their ear in everything about you. That person was never for you. Ever. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Verse number 9. And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach.
They'll discover your reproach.
Again, some friend is a companion at the table.
You have some person who's a companion because you have something right now. And this is what rich people suffer from. They don't know they're friends because the majority of people who are around them are asking for something. Yo, I got this great idea. Yo, I got this thing I need you to invest in. Or this, that, and the other. They don't even know what a friend is because everyone around them is trying to get something from them. Or you will have a friend because you have food on your table. They're there to get a meal. Read.
And will not continue in the day of thy affliction.
But when when it goes wrong and everything is down and out and you're at your lowest estate, you rarely see those people. Take stock of that person who's with you when you're at your lowest. That's your friend. That's your friend. Okay? Because why? Even though we're walking this path alone, and at the end of the day, it's us before the Most High in our judgment, it's good to know that we have a friend, that when we begin to veer off, that person can put us back on the road and we can do the same for them. Very important on this road. But especially those who are loving and helping people, that curse, the greatest curse of helping and loving people is naivety. Being naive. Being naive. So the wisdom to choose a friend does away with being naive, folks. I got so much love to give, but guess what? There's a certain level I'll go to until what? It's proven that you're deserving of all the love and everything I'm giving you. Because usually a person like that who loves and all that had to work to get what they have. Okay? And some careless person will come through and destroy it all. Because they're not used to working for anything. They're used to taking. So you must protect yourself. Even when helping people, you still must have that barrier there until they're proven wisdom-wise to be able to be called a friend. And you will know if they're your friend once you fall low. The people who weren't your friends are going to be laughing at you, talking behind your back, and blasting you at your lowest estate. The person who's with you at that low estate even while one is blasting you and helping you through it, that was your friend the whole time. And the sad thing about it is, that's the person that you spent less time with. It's that other person that's blasting you was your hell buddy that's blasting you, that you thought was cool. Check that out. Our lesson today, and we're about to end it soon, the wisdom on how to stay on the path. Because no one can do it alone. Hold that, and I'm going to get a precept on that.
Yes, sir.
Where it tells us 2 is better than 1. Ecclesiasticus 4 and 9. We only got about 9 more minutes or 10 minutes, and then I'll answer questions here. Ecclesiastes in the Bible. 4 and 9.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse number 9.
Yes.
2 are better than 1.
2 are better than 1. So no one wants to be alone. But understand 2 is better than 1. And keep this in mind, folks. If you are alone, that other is the Most High. That's your time of fasting physically to link into the Most High, who will help you make better decisions on this path to run this race and finish it. When that one person ain't there, who's in that place? The Most High. Okay? Don't feel like you're losing out because you are alone right now. It tell you if you're loosed, don't seek to be bound. Let that relationship, let the Most High build you and increase your wisdom and common sense during that time so that you'll know how to deal with the person differently, opposed to the bad choices that we made as children, that were made during the time of immaturity or infatuation. It says 2 is better than 1. Read.
Because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow.
Because if you do have that friend, when you fall, that person is going to lift you up. They're not going to talk about you. There's not going to be a blog about you or a video about you. When you're at your lowest state, they're going to be there for you. They're going to help you through it, like the Most High is doing. Read.
But woe to him that is alone when he falleth.
But woe unto them who's alone when he falleth. You know why? Because we didn't choose any good friends during that time. During the time when everything was going right, we weren't choosing good friends. Now you're falling and everyone has scattered. Well, I don't want to be seen with socially associated with a loser. You're going to know you were dealing with shallow people the whole time. Read.
It says here, for if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up.
Because he have not another to help him up. You know why? Because in the time when things are doing good, we choose the world as our social circle. We look to get accepted by the Joneses, or the circles of like the Atlanta housewives and these housewives. We're looking for the social acceptance when we get something, opposed to finding the real friend or knowing the real friend who have always been there for us. So when you fall, guess what? The socialites cannot associate themselves with losers. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be there for you. See? So the Most High is letting us know that there is a power possessed that's given to all of us. And it's the choice concerning who we associate with. You have that power on every level. That's power, folks. Come on.
Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? Verse 12. And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Better, it goes into something else.
Yeah. Let's go back to friend real quick. And
Yes,
I
sir.
need you to read that. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
You have to use the restroom?
I'm good.
All right. 1 second.
Going back to Sirach chapter 6.
Go on. Break it down, too.
Yes, sir. Sirach chapter 6, verse number, I believe we left off in verse number 10. Again, some is a companion at the table, and will not continue in the day of thy affliction. But in thy prosperity he will be as thyself, and will be bold over thy servants. Meaning he will glory, or she will glory and boast themselves within your prosperity, within your wealth, or whatever it is that you possess. And as the elder mentioned, this is something that is normally an issue with people who have wealth, those who have riches. But it is not exclusive to that particular crowd. You may have people who are just normal people who fall into these same types of scenarios. So it goes on to say here in verse number 14, or Salakia, verse number 12, if thou be brought low, he will be against thee and will hide himself from thy face. Separate thyself from thine enemies and take heed of thy friends. So in other words, know who your true friends are and take account of those true friends, right? And as we mentioned, it's based upon the rapport and the test and the proving ground that you put that friend through in order to know and recognize that that person is truly a friend.
Yeah.
Jumping on to verse number 14, a faithful friend is a strong defense.
It says a faithful friend is a strong defense. Okay. Now, when it says a strong defense, it's not like this person is making an excuse for you. Okay. Because privately, they're going to tell you the truth. But they're going to make sure other people don't come against you during your downfall. They're not going to use that against you. They'll be your defense. They'll come down on you privately, but no one else better try to come against you. That's a real friend, folks. They'll defend the person they love. That's a real friend. And guess what? When I look at this, it's deep because, and I keep on going back to this, and there's a lot of good teachings that are done in the Christian church and all that. But I'm telling you, I've never heard it broken down on an elementary level in these churches. The wisdom that's written of in this Apocrypha. And it's a shame they don't have this Apocrypha in the churches. Because it could have helped us with so many issues and can help us overcome so many issues we deal with on a daily basis in our community. These wisdom scriptures are the common sense that's needed for our people right now, folks. And it tells us about a real friend that's going to be there and as a defense at your lowest estate. And also, like I said, you first equate this to your life friend, husband, wife. Let me tell you, I go online sometime and just because I like to have my ear to the ground socially concerning what's going on with our people. And I see ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, husband and wives online blasting their so quote unquote husband and wife or girlfriend and boyfriend publicly. And it's like, so this is what you were thinking the whole time in the relationship? Because you can't say one thing happened and now all of this is an issue now. Okay? You lived in this relationship. Okay? And now you're going to get online and blast that person? these people were never together in that relationship. Ever. They were there strictly for the initial flesh part. That's the only part they agreed on. And you can tell. Because no one who care about another person will publicly blast them before the world like that. Because why? The people that you're talking about, the people that are listening to it, is not going to focus on the person you're talking about. They're going to look at you and say, huh? So you were able to be around all this disgust I'm hearing right now? Mm-hmm. Well, the Bible says the portion of a wicked man is given to a wicked woman. So that means if he made a video, there will be a lot of skeletons out here in public too. Mm-hmm. See, that's what the wisdom scriptures give you. You can read through the bull, and this person can't come forth and be self-righteous talking about what another person did, and you was an accomplice by being with them for 10, 15 years. You held that wickedness up. You financed the wickedness. You gave that wickedness a bed. So it's not just you, that person you're talking about. When two flesh come together, they become one. You're talking about yourself, lady. You're talking about yourself, dude. See? And someone's saying, this is how they're making money on reality shows, showing all the dysfunctions that our people, immature spiritually, exposing themselves with their childish, pugilant behavior. Why? It can be exploited because these people have no moral foundation according to the word. And guess what? These people are walking without a path, without direction. Hence, the word. Knowing your God, getting on path, following the law, getting on code, and applying that in every part of our life, starting with the circle, our immediate circle. We have to make sure our immediate circle are under the same principles we are and hold each other accountable for it. Mm-hmm. And that friendship extends out into a community, and that community extends to a nation. That's how it works. Come on.
It says here in verse number 15.
Yes.
Nothing doeth countervail a faithful friend.
Let me tell you, the Bible tells us there's nothing better than a faithful friend. Read.
And its excellency is invaluable.
That means you cannot put a price on this. It's more than any amount of money you will have in a bank, a good friend. Because usually, think about it. When a guy's trying to get a nice girl and have a family and all that and have what you would call, the social example of what a good looking person looks like and all that, usually they do what? They go to try to get money to impress that person, to get that person. So what's valued more? Because you're getting the money to get the girl. So she's valued more. And a lot of women being educated, doing certain things, there's a certain status that she's trying to obtain financially, knowing that she wants a man with standards. So who's worth more? That man. When it comes to the social interactions you would like to have that's safe, you would usually have to make enough money to live in a community that will allow you to have a safe environment for your children and have that social setting that's acceptable. So what's more important, the money or what you're striving to get or pay for? See, the money is just a facilitator. That's just a tool, folks. But what's important is why you're getting the money. The relationships are invaluable. That's what you're getting the money for, because of that relationship. The Most High is telling us how to have that relationship. But he's putting it in what? in priority. He's telling us, you got to have that relationship with me first to know how to have that right relationship amongst yourselves in a safe environment, in a loving environment. See? Oh, you see how it all comes together? Okay. The wisdom on how to stay on the path. Come on.
Yes, sir. Verse 16, a faithful friend is the medicine of life.
And it says, a faithful friend is the medicine of life. Man. And I know all of us have dealt with that, where you're at the lowest point of your life and you know your choice led you here. And you wouldn't be surprised if everyone just cast you off because you were told better, you made the wrong choice. And you know what? You don't deserve the respect of others or deserve someone to be there because of your choices. We've all been there. And there's always a person there saying, you know what? You'll get through this. You'll become better for this. And it's first the Most High. He doesn't hold it against us. But then imagine to have a friend like that. And another example of what a friend is not. Every time something goes wrong, or there's something that happens negatively within that relationship, whether or not it's a family relationship or friend or whatever the case is, this person continually brings up something that we said was forgiven for years ago. Mm-hmm. And these are ways that you can know whether or not you with a friend. A new scenario happens in which y'all have to work it out, and they're always bringing up something else that you both agreed was over with. That person is still stacking a dossier against you. That's not a friend. A friend has enough emotional intelligence to know that this situation here has nothing to do with that, and we can grow by just fixing this situation. Unless it's the same thing. Now they can bring it up. If what you're doing or what they forgave you for is the same thing a year or two later, that means you haven't grown from it. They have the right to bring it up now and saying, listen, you're going back there again. It's the same thing you did before. But you will know if someone is developing a dossier against you if every time something happens, they're compounding the matter by bringing up stuff that have nothing to do with this situation. Right? Just some wisdom 101 so you can understand the environment around you to adjust accordingly. Okay? To know who's around you and to readjust your environment so that there's peace in your home. See? Because if you don't have peace, there's no way none of us can stay on this road towards this kingdom. You have to be sound, sober-minded, and focused. And you can't have these others coming in, muddying the waters, redirecting your path. Okay? Come on, let's go.
Verse 16, a faithful friend is the medicine of life.
It says a faithful friend is a medicine of life.
And they that fear the Lord shall find him.
And they that fear God will find that friend. That's husband, that's wife, that's circle. And what I hope and what we're working for within this church throughout the earth is to have those who are striving for that same kingdom, that same finish line, so that we know that amongst us, we're growing friends as an inward community, starting with our relationships with our husbands, wives, and family, then church, And when we're all together in the wilderness together, there's a trusted circle that can help us endure through that final tribulation. That's the hope. By getting this wisdom and begin to fix ourselves on this side first, before the last test, before that last end of that hour of temptation. That's my hope. Anything else, Elder Lawyer?
That's it on that. It's more, but you can always go back and,
Okay.
and read there.
Let's read this verse real quick. And we're going to end it here. And I have a few announcements. And subsequent to that, we can answer a few questions. Hold on here. Let's go to Matthew 7 and 14 and 1 Peter's 21.
All right. Matthew chapter 7, verse number 14 says, I'll start in verse 13. Enter ye in at the strait gate.
Enter ye in at the strait gate. This is Christ.
For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be that go which go in thereat.
The majority of people we know are not going to make it. That's a serious reality there. 9 out of every 10 will not make it. So the Most High placed all 10 on the road. He knew us from the womb and put us all in this race of life. So just imagine this one path, wherever we were born at, and the kingdom is at the end of it, and everyone is born on that road, and everyone is, you can visualize people just falling off, and only 1 out of every 10 still on the road, barely. That's the kingdom of heaven. And through this, all the people who are born on the road, relationships in different circles, be it social circles with family, job circles, people we've interact with and met for whatever reason throughout the life. All of us are on this same road, holding on or falling off of it, or barely staying on it altogether. Right? So Christ says we must come through the strait gate. And the strait gate is what? First, being honest with the God that we're serving, and serve him in honor and love and in truth, and be honest with ourselves. We have to stop hoping, selling ourselves this vision and hope things work out. It doesn't work like that. We have to deal with the reality of what is, link with the Most High, keep the commandments, and protect, okay, what's entrusted under our protection by following God's law in the Bible and not making excuses not to. Right? Come on.
Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction.
Come on.
And many there be which go in thereat.
Come on.
Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life.
Narrow is the way that leadeth to life.
And few there be that find it.
And there's few that will actually make it to the finish line, folks. And the majority of people that will not make it are those who make excuses. Excuses are really synonymous with failure. This is why I can't do this. Or this is why I can't follow this law. Or this is why. No. You have power, the Most High have given you, concerning the things you can control, which is your temple and the laws of God. You can control following those, and you can control who you interact with on the road, on the path. Right? So there's no excuses. Right? Last scripture.
Said you wanted something, Peter.
Yeah. 1 Peter 21:9, and we're going to read that down to 9.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people.
1 Peter's 2:1.
Oh, that's 2 Peter's Lawya.
1 Peter's 2:1.
1 Peter 2:1.
Yes.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile.
So the Most High is saying now, we must lay aside all malice and all guile. That's the past. Okay. We got to also lay aside regret. None of us can change yesterday. So in order to stay on this path rightly, you must look forward. You can't run a race looking back. None of us. So because Satan will use your past against you. He will use your past against you. So you cannot look backward, or what? You'll begin to look back there and feel unworthy. Have regret. I should have made these choices. I wish I would have known now what I known then. Woe is me. When really, the kingdom is close. You have no time to look back with regret and the things that someone did to you and all that. Let that go. Let it go. Now we're putting away malice, guile, even what's in us or what other people have done to us. Read.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisy.
And it says hypocrisies. Hypocrisy is setting a standard when you know you have shortcomings concerning that same standard. We have to stop living hypocritical. Okay? We got to stop that. And be what we are. Do what we say. You have that power. Read.
And envies and all evil speaking.
And it says we have to put away envy in others because that's coveting, looking what other people got and you envy it against the law. And because you envy, that's your driving force in life to be like the Joneses instead of running that path towards the kingdom. You're trying to, now you've set a standard charted by your covetousness or envying to be on a road to try to be what the Joneses are. You done veered off the path, envying somebody and what they have. Nix that. Stay on the path. No more envying what someone else has, and that shapes your or move you into a different direction. And evil speakings. Evil speakings is murmuring. Okay? And murmuring, when you look in the wisdom scriptures, that's the conversation of cowards. Because someone with an issue and has courage confronts the issue in the spirit of meekness, like Christ said do. When you hear people always complaining and murmuring, those are the words and acts of a coward. Okay? They're dangerous. Cowards are dangerous because they work in the dark, and usually, believe it or not, their words stir up someone who's unlearned to actually execute what they couldn't do. They'll stir up somebody with their words, and now this person is all out on Front Street, wrong as the day's old. Mm-hmm. While the unseen hand is sitting back looking at the confrontation they created in silence, in darkness. That's how it works. Like Satan does. That's the evil speaking. I feel eerie talking about something about someone else. No, I'm going to that person. If I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But I'm not going to be all, yeah, man, this person, yeah, they talking about the Most High, but this, that, and the other, da, 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 da. Listen, that's a coward. Okay? In all evil speakings, read on.
As newborn babes
Being born again,
desire the sincere milk of the word.
we must desire the sincere milk of the word. The sincere milk of the word. Read.
That ye may grow thereby.
Come on.
If so, that ye have tasted that, or if so be ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious,
And he is.
to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God, and precious, ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house.
So now, as lively stones, because now we are applying the principles we talked about today, we're building up a what?
A spiritual house.
A spiritual house now, because we have rid our house of all the darkness and the things that didn't belong there
in holy
by our bad choices. But now we're cleaning the house now. To see this path clearly. To build this spiritual house, read.
and holy priesthood,
And a holy priesthood.
to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to the Most High by
And that acceptable sacrifice is our walk and actions in this life while on this race. These are what we sacrifice is the envying and the worldly things. Okay? The desires we would have ran after in the world. We're putting all that on the cross with Christ to build a spiritual house. The kingdom cometh not by observation. The kingdom is within us. We start building our kingdom here amongst each other. Read.
to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to the Most High by Yeshua the Anointed.
Come on.
Verse 6. Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded. Unto you therefore which believe, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the cornerstone.
Exactly. So what is it speaking of here? It's speaking of Christ already laid the foundation. He's our foundation and example. Okay? And as a body, as an individual, only thing we have to do is walk and build on his foundation. That's it. He did the hard work for us. He's at the door, folks. And the Most High, during this time of the hour of temptation, is giving us, the children of Israel, an opportunity to clean house. With that, I'm going to say shalom. I thank the Most High for a blessed Sabbath. And that ends our lesson today, the wisdom to stay on the path. And I hope this lesson help others, help you all come back to the knowledge of the Most High, reflect on it, go back and study the lesson, open up your Bible, talk to the Most High. And guess what? When you go to him, say, Lord, help me clean house to stay on this path. Work with me. And he will. Okay, and he will. Not to say there won't be challenges, but when you begin to confess your faults and go to the Most High and say, I tried it my way, it never worked, show me your way, usually, and I've known by, I've seen this through experience, usually he answers. And with that, I'm going to say shalom. It's been a blessed Sabbath today. I'd like to thank all the brothers and sisters who continually support the work. Without your support, okay, this church just wouldn't be prospering and getting into remote areas. We have an Africa initiative that's coming up very soon, where we're going to be going into Africa and setting up our churches all through Africa. All praises be to the Most High. And there's a lot of other areas we have to set up in the States first before this year's out. And I'm going to say that because we're going to need donations. If you can donate towards that, you can go to gatheringofchrist.org. You can see where it says donate. It'll tell you exactly how to donate. Okay. If you want to donate to us as elders, you can just make sure you make that out to the Gathering of Christ Church. Okay. And you can say offerings or tithes. If it's for the offerings, you can put my name or Lawya's name there, and we'll make sure it go towards us personally, because the church monies is separate from our personal monies. Okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. All right. So if you want an offering to me, you would put my name, Richard Shepherd, or Lawya's name, Brandon Ray, check or money order, and that'll go to us. Okay. You can send that to P.O. Box 946, 2000 Hamilton Street, Philadelphia, PA 19130. And that address you can find on gatheringofchrist.org or historytimes.org. Okay. Now, also we have the Academy. I think what week we're in? We're in week 7 this coming week.
7, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think this week we're going into Who's Edom, right?
Yep.
We're going into Who's Edom, and we're going to try to delve into the 12 Caesars this particular week. Delving into the 12 Caesars tomorrow, showing you that the Caesar family and the Europeans are not Japheth. They are Edomites. They are also, when you look at the areas of Tyre and Zidon, it was the Edomites taking those parts of Syria and all that. Okay. When it talks about later on of Syria and Tyre, they were under the Greek and Roman Empire. So we're going to be going into showing you who is Edom and how Edom was able to hide himself amongst the nations so that no one in the earth would know exactly who they are. And because of this, you have Israelites erroneously teaching that the so-called white man is Japheth. That is ridiculous. There's no place in earth that says that Japheth is going to be ruling the earth at the very end. Okay? Esau took the lands of Japheth the same way he's taken America and the same way he has taken and colonized the world. And we're going to show that tomorrow in the Academy. Okay? Also, if you would like to be a part of this Academy as we go into Who's Edom, hey, we still have what? Week 7, we have 5 more weeks. So you can still be a part of it, and we'll make sure that the past lessons for this Academy, and if you missed it, oh my goodness, one of the best academies we've had to date. We'll make sure you receive all the past lessons, okay? We went into the battle between Adam and Eve. The spirit that have been destroying marriages, man against woman. And it was one of the better lessons that we've had since in this truth for that Academy. We also went into UFOs in the Bible, we are not alone. Showing you the UFOs in the Bible and showing you the true UFOs, unidentified flying objects, that belong to God, and how that's equated to Christ's resurrection and him leaving after the resurrection and his return. And how they show the difference between Christ's UFOs that have always been here because they were here before Earth. A matter of fact, it was those beings and those vehicles that helped shape and make the earth we have today. Okay. So they call unidentified flying objects, but the governments of this earth know exactly who they are and what they are. And Satan has his vehicles that can cloak, that mimics the UFOs of the Bible. Therefore, you have Area 51 and all these different areas where the true government leaders reside, the children of the Nephilim. Okay, so that was a great lesson in itself, and you don't want to miss that. So I'm saying if you want to be a part of it, or you can just enroll in the next installment. That's over a month from now. You're very well, you can do that, but I don't believe you would want to miss the lessons we've had within this academy. So you can send an email to gatheringas1@aol.com, go to historytimes.org or gatheringofchrist.org to enroll. I mean, this has been the best academy, and I can't wait to get to that lesson tomorrow. Who is Edom? Okay. I can answer one or two questions, and after that, wish you all Godspeed. Daniel Rose says, thank you. Well, thank you, brothers and sisters. And the best thank you is to finish.
That's right.
That's the greatest thank you. Someone asks, is the second death of the soul and spirit? The second death, yes, is after the 1,000 years when all the souls of disobedience are judged and the Most High destroys the soul and the spirit in hell. That is correct. Someone asked here, I ask this solely for clarification. How does Matthew 6:25 not contradict us following our dietary laws and dress codes? Okay, so let's see if Matthew 6:25 contradicts our, because I think contradict is a hard word for this. Number one, because the Bible doesn't contradict itself. Just people lack understanding of the word, and because they don't understand one verse to another, they feel it's contradictory. One would have to first understand or know that you don't understand the Bible fully to say if it contradicts. So that's too strong of a word. It's best to say, let me get understanding on Matthew 6:25, because I'm confused with this and what's written in the dietary law and the dress code. That's a better way. It's not contradicting.
Right.
Let's read that. This is the last question. I wish we can answer more, but you can send your emails to gatheringas1@aol.com and we'll answer them in the order received. Read it.
Matthew 6:24. I'll start at verse 24.
Yes.
No man can serve two masters.
No man can serve two masters.
For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve the Most High and mammon.
Okay, so that's crystal clear. It doesn't matter what religion you're following. If you're not following the God of Jacob or the God of Israel, you're worshiping and following Satan. There's only two masters. The Most High is not in between every religion. It doesn't work that way. Satan has his religions, which are from the Tower of Babel, which are the world Gentile religions we see today. Broad is the way that leads to destruction, and billions of people are in there. That's the gates of hell right there. And you have the God of Israel, his laws, statutes, and commandments, and above all, his son, Yeshua, the path. That's the true religion on earth that leads to the kingdom of heaven. Read.
Verse 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body.
Okay, so I understand your confusion there. You didn't understand the context. This is not saying what we should eat or should not eat. This is saying that we chart our paths on earth and make decisions based on worldly things like chasing money to make sure we eat and chasing money to make sure we have clothes, when we should prioritize the Most High and use faith first. That's not saying you can eat anything you want. When he says take no thought, why take thought and have that shape your direction or existence and not depend on me and the faith of me first? Because I'm going to make sure you receive those things. And he's going to clear it up for you. So that's not a contradiction there. He's saying, why focus on the worldly things like clothing and foods and chasing a dollar when if you follow me, I'll give you those things anyway. Right? Read it.
Take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment?
Because life is more than food, clothing, and raiment. Life is more than that. So why have that be your, the bane of your existence, chasing money just to put food on the table? There's greater things to life than just that. To know how everything works, to understand the God who made us is greater than that. Read.
26. Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them.
See? He says, listen, the birds don't work anywhere. But the Most High made what? Trees for habitation. Right? You're going to read that. When it talks about the flowers, the Most High dressed the lilies. And he says not even Solomon was dressed like that. But yet, the flowers didn't have to try to work to look good. The Most High made them that way. So how much more will our Father clothe and feed us, ye of little faith? So the Most High is trying to get us out of the mindset of just chasing a dollar as the bane of our existence. That's the context, not the dietary law and not the clothes we put on. Okay? With that, I'm going to say, Shalom. We love you all. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. And you brothers and sisters, I'll see you in the academy tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yes,
Tomorrow,
sir.
9 a.m. Shalom.
Shalom.
Are you seeking to strengthen your biblical foundation? Join us in the Hebrew Bible Academy, where we offer 12 weeks of in-depth learning in a structured environment. Receive real-time news from Brother Shabbat and amazing lessons by Elder Rawchaa. Learn ancient Hebrew with Elder Lawya. With 12 amazing lessons, you're guaranteed to learn more about your true biblical history and authentic Hebrew language than you would in a traditional Christian church for only a one-time payment of $150 or 3 monthly payments of $50. Join us at historytimes.org and sign up today. It's not too late. See you in the academy.